Now this right here, this is the definition of we did not see this coming. I mean, who saw this coming? No, seriously, who? Did any of you guys see this coming? Yeah, that's what I thought. Hey everyone, this is Logan59XP here, and today we are here for yet another impromptu edition of the Nin-Cast, but this one is probably the most impromptu of all of them, because this one is on a topic that I never thought in a million years I would actually be talking about. But yes, you see the thumbnail, you see the title, yes, it's real. You can go on the official Xbox and Bethesda Twitters and all that stuff, and you'll see for yourself that yes, this is indeed real. But yes, this is happening. Microsoft has just acquired Bethesda and all of their various game studios, including id Software, among others, for a whopping $7.5 billion with a B dollars. Okay, so for starters, before we even get into the actual acquisition itself and how huge that is, can we just talk about the fact that Microsoft can just drop $7.5 billion with no problems whatsoever? Like, I mean, sure, that's not the same as Disney buying Fox for like $70 billion, but like, come on! Like, I've seen people talk about for years how Microsoft is actually a lot bigger than Sony, but it's always felt to me like Sony is bigger just because, they make a bunch of appliances like TVs and stuff, and they have the movie division and stuff, so they feel a lot bigger than they actually are. But if you go by pure, like, capital and stuff, Microsoft wins hands down. But Microsoft, we all know they're big, but they don't feel that big. They don't feel like they're quite as big as Google or Amazon or any of those guys. But this acquisition right here is kind of proof that yes, they really are that big. Even though it may not feel like it, because the only thing they really are known for is Windows and to a lesser extent Xbox. But they have cash to burn. They could acquire almost any game studio. They might not be able to acquire like EA or Activision or Rockstar. They're probably too valuable. But Bethesda is like, because Bethesda is obviously one of the big publishers, but they're not quite as big as Amazon, as Activision or EA or Rockstar even. They're kind of like if EA and Activision are like A tier, and I'm not talking about in terms of quality, I know that's debatable. I'm talking about in terms of how like big they are, right? In terms of size, like EA and Activision are like A, and Bethesda is like B. Like they're pretty big, but they're not quite that big. So in a way, it makes perfect sense that they would be the one that Microsoft would go for, because it wouldn't quite burn them as much, and they would also get a lot more IP out of it. Whereas, like, for example, Activision. I know Activision probably is more than just this, but to a lot of people, Activision is one thing. Developers behind Call of Duty. And of course, if they bought Activision, they'd get Treyarch and Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer and Beanox and Toys for Bob, etc., etc., etc. And they'd also get other franchises like Crash and Spyro and stuff like that, which would be kind of neat. But although at least in recent years, Activision has actually treated Crash and Spyro pretty well with the Insane trilogy, the Reignited trilogy, and of course now we're getting a brand new Crash game in only a couple weeks. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Point is, Bethesda is obviously an enormous acquisition, but it's not quite as big as if they bought EA or Activision. But that's not a downside. I'm just saying that it's not quite that big, but it's still obviously huge. I mean, this is the biggest acquisition in gaming history, from what I've read at least. This beats out Microsoft's acquisition of Mojang that happened in 2014. This beats out their acquisition of Rare in 2001. This beats out any acquisition done by any other game studio. Microsoft and Bethesda's acquisition here is the biggest one we've seen so far, period, in gaming history. And again, $7.5 billion. Let me give you some context here. Disney paid $4 billion for Marvel in 2008. Disney paid that same $4 billion for Lucasfilm in 2012. Microsoft is paying more for Bethesda now than Disney paid for both Marvel and Lucasfilm when they acquired them for $4 billion each. That's how huge this is. Microsoft is spending more money than Disney. Disney, the king of acquisitions with their most recent, of course, infamous, 20th Century Fox acquisition that happened last year for $70 billion. So, that's how we're talking, that kind of money. Okay, obviously $7.5 billion versus $70 million. I mean, there's no contest, but you get the point, right? In terms of sheer acquisitions, this is up there. This is up there, and definitely the biggest one in gaming history. But enough about raving about that. Let's talk about what this actually means. So first things first, what exactly is Microsoft getting in this acquisition? Well, probably the most obvious ones are going to be Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Doom, but they're also going to be getting Dishonored, Prey, The Evil Within, Wolfenstein, and Starfield, among other IPs as well. That, for example, they'll get Commander Keen, because that's an id Software thing. They'll get Quake, because that's also id Software. Anything that was owned by Bethesda or any of their subsidiary studios, they have now. Everything. Now, this acquisition is a little awkward because, as we all know, Bethesda has not one but two PS5 timed exclusives coming out: Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, which, by the way, according to this article, which we're going to go through here, because both Microsoft as well as Bethesda, as in i.e. Phil Spencer and Todd Howard, yes, Todd Howard is still around, at least for right now, but we'll talk about that in a bit. They've each put out their own little individual statements on the Microsoft and the Bethesda website, respectively. We're going to go through those and see what they've said. Actually, let's just go ahead and do that right now, actually. Let's see. I got the Xbox One up right here. The picture they got on it is the one I'm using for the background right now, except I've cropped out the part that says Xbox plus Bethesda. But for the most part, it's pretty much what, it's got the thing with all the IPs and stuff. Welcome to I can't talk right now. Welcoming the talented teams and beloved game franchises of Bethesda to Xbox. Critically acclaimed creators of The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, Quake, Starfield, and more join Team Xbox. Okay, so I'm going to start quoting right now. This is all from Phil Spencer, by the way. Today is a special day as we welcome some of the most accomplished studios in the games industry to Xbox. We are thrilled to announce Microsoft has entered into an agreement to acquire ZeniMax Media, parent company of Bethesda Softworks. As one of the largest, most critically acclaimed, depending on how you see it, privately held game. I mean, to be fair, Doom and stuff, they've been critically acclaimed. It's mainly just Fallout 76 in particular that's been getting all the bad news. But you get the point, right? Overall critically acclaimed developer. Privately held game developers and publishers in the world, Bethesda is an incredibly talented group of 2,300 people worldwide who make up some of the most accomplished creative studios in our industry across Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, Arcane Games, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roadhouse Studios. These are the teams responsible for franchises like The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, Prey, Quake, Starfield, and many more. Bethesda's games have always had a special place on Xbox and in the hearts of millions of gamers around the world. Our teams have a close and storied history working together, from the amazing first Doom and its id Tech engine back in 1994. I'm adding that last part in because it came out in 1994, or 1990. Was it 1994? I think it was 1994. It might be 1993, so don't shoot me. 1993 or 1994, but whatever. That part about the year isn't in there. I just add that in. Okay. Innovating games on PCs, to Bethesda bringing their first console game to the original Xbox, to groundbreaking The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Over the years, I have had many deep conversations with the creative leaders at Bethesda on the future of gaming, and we've long shared similar visions for the opportunities for creators and their games to reach more players in more ways. I can't talk right now, so I apologize for the way I'm doing this. Just as they took the bold first steps to bring the Elder Scrolls franchise to the original Xbox, Bethesda's were early supporters of Xbox Game Pass, bringing their games to new audiences across devices, and have been actively investing in new gaming technology like cloud streams of games. Sorry about that. I don't know why I'm coughing right now. Just for the record, by the way, I pretty much just woke up. Like, I woke up, the first thing I did is I went on YouTube, and I was like, oh, holy crap, Microsoft bought Bethesda? Well, time to make a video. I might edit out those coughs, I don't know, don't quote me on that. Anyways, where were we? We will be adding Bethesda. Okay, here's a big one right here. We will be adding Bethesda's iconic franchises to Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. I don't know how soon this is going to be because they don't say it, but Doom Eternal on Game Pass would be awesome. But if that happened like right now, but it's probably going to be a little while until we see that. But at the very least, every new, like, again, because every new Xbox Game Studios game is just on Game Pass. So, Starfield when that comes out, Elder Scrolls 6 when that comes out, they're all going to be available on Game Pass, which is obviously huge, absolutely huge. But anyways, back to the article. One of the things that has me most excited is seeing the roadmap for Bethesda's future games, some announced and many unannounced, to Xbox console and PC, including Starfield, the highly anticipated new space epic currently in development by Bethesda Game Studios. Like us, Bethesda are passionate believers in building a diverse array of creative experiences, in exploring new game franchises, and in telling stories in bold ways. All of their great work will of course continue and grow as we look forward to empowering them with the resources and support of Microsoft to scale their creative visions to more players in new ways for you. All of our work and the foundation of our relationship with you starts with a commitment to deliver a breadth of amazing games to discover and play on Xbox. Over the last few weeks, we've been excited to share more detail on important elements of a plan we've been building towards for years. A plan that is the fulfillment of a promise to you, the Xbox player, to deliver the most performant, immersive, and compatible next-gen gaming experiences and the freedom to play blockbuster games with your friends anytime, anywhere. Today is a landmark step in our journey together, and I'm incredibly energized by what this step means for Xbox. Please join me in welcoming all of our friends at Bethesda to Team Xbox. So there we go. That is Phil Spencer's official statement on the acquisition on the Xbox Wire page on the Xbox website. So this is obviously a huge acquisition, man. What the heck does he mean by important elements about playing? Is this the Series S or is this something else? Oh, yeah, this is the Series S. Yeah. Obviously this is absolutely huge. I mean, I know I've said that, but like that should not be understated. This acquisition is a huge deal. Not just for Microsoft, not just for gaming as a whole, but more importantly, this is a big deal for the Xbox brand because this is kind of like the apex of their whole thing recently, where they've been acquiring game studios left and right. Most of them have been developers that either aren't super big, or they've been developers that they've been working with for so long that they're practically first party, like Playground Games. But this is easily their biggest one yet, as I've said earlier. And this right here, for a lot of people, is going to sell Xbox to them. I mean, if you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, the next Doom, the next Fallout. Yes, I know Fallout's not in a great state right now, but the Fallout brand is still huge. And you gotta remember something. A while ago, Microsoft bought Obsidian. What is Obsidian most famous for? Fallout New Vegas. Now Microsoft has bought Bethesda, who owns Fallout. They also own inXile Entertainment, originally called Interplay, which means that Microsoft now owns every studio that has ever made a Fallout game. They own the original creators in inXile Entertainment. They own its current creators in the form of Fallout. In the form of Bethesda, and they own Obsidian, who of course made Fallout New Vegas, which is considered by many people to be the best game in the series. In fact, I'm sure this doesn't mean anything, but if you go on the Obsidian Twitter account right now, you'll see that they made because someone asked about, hey, does this mean that Fallout New Vegas 2 can now be a thing in response to the acquisition? And they were all like, we don't know. Like, they did like the little, it's not an emoji, but the little like holding their hands up thing. Yeah, so of course people are going crazy over that, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to think how Microsoft now owns every studio that has ever worked on a Fallout game. Well, if you ignore Black Isle Studios, who worked on that canceled version of Fallout 3 that was in development before Bethesda bought the Fallout IP from Interplay. But yeah, so yeah, this is huge, man. This is huge. But here's the thing, though. Just because Microsoft has bought Bethesda and they own all these IPs now, doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to go Xbox and PC exclusive, i.e. it won't be on PlayStation. That's pretty much what it means at this point, because Microsoft has a good relationship with Nintendo, so I don't think that this is going to stop any of the games coming to Nintendo. So that's the thing, is this acquisition is basically means that this is like PlayStation doesn't get them, because obviously Xbox and PC will. I think the games will still come out on the Switch because they have that good relationship with Nintendo. And of course, just recently in the partner showcase, we got the announcement of Ori 2 coming, that is now available on Switch. And of course, Minecraft Dungeons is on the Switch. Minecraft itself is on the Switch. They got Cuphead and stuff on the Switch as well. And of course, Banjos and Smash. So Microsoft and Nintendo are still buddy-buddy, and I don't think that's going to change anything for Bethesda. So obviously, Doom Eternal is still yet to come out on the Switch. I'm pretty sure it's still in development. That's obviously still going to come out on the Switch. Any future games that would already be coming out on the Switch will still come out on the Switch. That's not going to change. It's mainly just PlayStation that's going to be affected by all this. It's all about what is PlayStation going to get or not get. And here's what we do know. So going back to that thing I was talking about earlier, where how Bethesda has 2 timed exclusives for PlayStation going on right now, which is Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Phil Spencer already confirmed that both of those games and their agreements will still be held, which doesn't surprise me, because every time they've acquired a studio, if there's any deals still in place, they honor the deals. Like, for example, Outer Worlds. That's a game made by Obsidian, but it was published by a different publisher, not Xbox, because it was already in development and it already had a deal with another publisher. That's also why the game came out on PlayStation as well as Xbox and PC, and eventually the Switch when that version came out. Because that game was always slated for PlayStation even before Microsoft bought them. So the same applies here. Oh, same goes for Double Fine with Psychonauts 2. Again, a game that was already in development and already had agreements long before. Microsoft is publishing the game, though, on all the platforms, but it's still coming out on PlayStation because it was in development for PlayStation before they bought Double Fine. So the same applies here. So both Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop are still coming out on PlayStation 5 first. That's not changing because that's already an agreement that was already in place. But everything after that, that's different. Everything after that will probably be Microsoft exclusive, i.e. Xbox and PC and maybe some Switch, but no PlayStation. Although, I don't remember if this is Phil Spencer or if this was Todd Howard or both. But I think it was Phil Spencer, but he did say, not in this article that I just read out to you guys, but in a different article, he did say that they would be handling multi-platform releases on a case-by-case basis. So maybe we'll still see Doom, Fallout, and the like still release on PlayStation as well. But I really don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to honor the current agreements, and then everything from that point, and then everything after the current agreements and everything that's new will be on Xbox and PC only. So Starfield technically was announced a while ago, but it's still not coming out for a while. So Starfield, for example, Starfield will probably be next gen only. Sorry, that will probably be Xbox only. Elder Scrolls, I think that will probably be Xbox only. It's funny. This is really funny because what was that game? What's the game that was it Obsidian? Was it Obsidian? I think it was Obsidian. Or was it Ninja Theory? I don't remember. That game that was showcased in the Xbox conference a while back. The game that everyone called like Elder Scrolls. I forget what the name. I think it's made by Obsidian, but I don't remember if it's from Obsidian or not. What was it called? It's Avowed, right? Avowed, right? Avowed. This is from, yes, it's from Obsidian. Yeah, this is like basically Obsidian's Elder Scrolls game, and a lot of people are looking forward to it because, hey, it's Elder Scrolls, but not from Bethesda, so they'll actually release in some decent period and won't be full of a bunch of nonsense. But now Microsoft has Avowed and Elder Scrolls, so they win no matter what. So Microsoft has got both. That's huge right there as well. But again, we don't know if Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield are going to come out on PlayStation 5 as well, but my theory is, yeah, any games that were already in development for multi-platform or have any exclusive deals will still stay. So, for example, obviously Elder Scrolls Online is still going to keep going on PlayStation. That's not going anywhere. The Doom Eternal DLC, obviously, that's still happening on all the platforms. And of course, yeah, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, PlayStation 5, that's still happening. But anything from like a year from now onward will probably be Xbox Game Studios and, yeah, Xbox and PC. Maybe some Switch, but no PlayStation. Because why would you spend $7.5 billion to put your games on the competing platforms? The only time they have done that, and it had nothing, the only time they've done that is with Minecraft. But they did it with Minecraft because Minecraft is so big that, like, and it was already super established on other platforms as well, that, like, they couldn't. Like, for example, Minecraft Dungeons, right? That game came out on PlayStation 4. Well, as well as the Switch, but most notably PlayStation 4. And that's not, so, like, anything new from Minecraft will still come out on PlayStation. But everything else that isn't a part of a pre-existing deal, like with Psychonauts 2, or Outer Worlds, or anything like that, or Wasteland 3. Everything else, that's Xbox. For example, Ninja Theory, right? They're most well known for Hellblade. That game came out in, I believe, 2017. Then it came out on Xbox in 2018. Then it came out on Switch in 2019, I believe. But then their next game, which is not Hellblade 2, although that game, of course, is coming, their most recent game, which was Bleeding Edge, which came out in 2020, this year. That game was published by Xbox Game Studios, and it only came out on Xbox One and PC, no PS4. And of course, the new Hellblade game is Xbox Series X/S and PC only. So, yeah, I think that Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield and anything like brand new, basically, like the next Doom game, whenever that happens in a couple of years, those will all be Microsoft exclusive. That is my official stance on that. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's the way I see it right now. Because, it's, again, why would you spend $7.5 billion and not make your games exclusive to your platform? Because this right here, for a lot of people, is going to be the reason to buy an Xbox. I mean, Microsoft has been kind of on a roll with the Series S and Game Pass. Like, outside of, like, yeah, Halo Infinite may not have been its best, but they decided to delay the game. But, you know, outside of Halo Infinite, outside of that, they've been on a roll with Xbox in terms of, like, the lead up to the next generation, especially with the Series S and, like, its competitive pricing and stuff. And now, everyone knows that, hey, if you want to play Doom, you want to play Fallout, you want to play Elder Scrolls, you want to play Wolfenstein, you want to play any of that, you got to go to Microsoft. You got to buy an Xbox now. Or, well, of course, if you're still on PC, you're fine. Well, but everything else, though, if you, as far as consoles are concerned, you got to go to Microsoft. Everyone knows that now, and that's going to be a huge, huge, huge draw. Absolutely huge. And that right there is going to be something that is going to really push Microsoft this generation, that's for sure. And as I said earlier, they've already confirmed that they're going to be putting all the Bethesda games on Game Pass. And by extension, that of course means that any new Bethesda games will be on Game Pass as well. So again, Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield are going to be on Game Pass. They're going to be on Game Pass. That's going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Now, let's go ahead and look at the Bethesda side of all this. We're going to go to the Bethesda website right here, and we are going... Here we go. This is right on the front page. Why Microsoft is the perfect fit. This is from Pete Hines, actually. This is not from Todd Howard, but Todd Howard does have his own statement. We will read that in a second. We're going to go ahead and read through this statement, which is by Pete Hines, who is the SVP of PR and Marketing at Bethesda. Okay, so I'm going to start right now here. Today we have announced we're joining the Microsoft family. Press release below. And here we go. I'm going to start right now. And if you haven't had a chance to read what Phil Spencer and Todd Howard shared in their post this morning, be sure to check them out. When you work at a place as long as I've worked at Bethesda, just a month short of 21 years, Jesus Christ, this guy's been at the company for 2 decades, you see some things. Chief amongst them is change. When I started, Bethesda was not much more than a handful of people. The team was working on Morrowind Fit in a couple of offices, and there were probably 6 or 7 of us spread across everything else. Bethesda Softworks, our parent company ZeniMax Media, and our many internal studios now employ thousands of talented people working in publishing offices and development studios across the world. We've gone from one internal studio to many, from a focus on single-player fantasy RPGs to developing massive MMOs, first-person shooters, and everything in between. The world, our industry, and our company has changed a lot in the 34 years since Bethesda Softworks was first founded. Today it has changed again, and I know that brings up questions. But the key point is, we're still Bethesda. We're still working on the same games we were yesterday, made by the same studios we've worked with for years. And those games will be published by us. And that last part kind of flies in the face of what I was just talking about. Oh, well, the games are all going to be published by Microsoft. But again, I think that's just anything that's currently in development. So, for example, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo will be published by Bethesda, not Microsoft still. But I think eventually everything will be published by them, because for all the other studios they've acquired, they still, they get published by all their new games after a certain point get published by Microsoft anyways. I think that statement is just for the games that are already in development from before the acquisition, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so here we go again. So why the change? Because it allows us to make even better games going forward. Microsoft is an incredible partner and offers access to resources that will make us a better publisher and developer. We believe that means better games for you to play. Simply put, we believe that change is an important part of getting better. We believe in pushing ourselves to be better, to innovate, to grow. And we have a long history of working with Microsoft. Our companies share many of the same basic principles. We believe in a culture that values passion, quality, collaboration, and innovation. When I think back to the first time we decided to shift from being a PC-only developer to make Morrowind for the original Xbox, it was a move that countless people said would never work. Nobody on consoles wanted to play a game that big and complex. But Microsoft believed in us, and so did you. And now RPGs of all shapes and sizes are hugely successful on consoles. Yes, it's a big change for us, but after taking a minute to absorb the magnitude of this acquisition, we're going to continue doing what we know and love, making great games. We are going to keep trying new things. We're going to take the same passion we've poured into what we do, and that passion that our community brings to the things we make, and do even better. And soon the conversations will move on from this deal to talking about our games again, and I can get back to asking I can get back to answering the questions that get us all excited. Tell me more about Deathloop. When can I see more Ghostwire? What's coming for Q4 for Elder Scrolls Online? I want to see more of the Doom Eternal DLC. When the hell will you tell me about Starfield? I'm excited for these conversations and look forward to talking to you about all of that and much, much more in the weeks, months, and years ahead. I believe in the people I work with. I believe in the company we have created together. I believe in the communities that have formed around the games we make, and I believe today's announcement is just the next in a long line of changes in our history that will lead to bigger and better games for all of us. Peter Hines, SVP, Global Marketing and Communications. So there we go. That is more or less the Bethesda, well, kind of Bethesda statement. You know, it's mostly what you would expect, kind of like with the Microsoft statement where it's talking about how great they are, and, you know, we've collaborated for a very long time, and this is only going to make things better. And, you know, I mean, Microsoft definitely can't make Bethesda worse. I mean, again, you know, Bethesda, generally speaking, has been an acclaimed developer. It's only in the last couple of years that they've really started to get some hard flack. Like, for example, when they had the Skyrim remasters, which they themselves poked fun at in that infamous Skyrim Very Special Edition, which, by the way, I think is still a classic. You can now play it on Etch-a-Sketch, Motorola pagers, and your Samsung smart refrigerator. Fusroda. I've never played Skyrim. Yes, I'm actually one of the 5 people that have never played Skyrim. Don't shoot me. But even I found, yeah, that Skyrim Very Special. I love that they poke fun at themselves like that. And then they also, that time they acknowledged the Walmart leaks for Rage 2, and they're like, and you know, our game that was leaked by Walmart Canada, you know, Walmart, the company known for their low prices and ability to keep a secret, or something along those lines. Yeah. But anyways, so let's go ahead, and before we wrap this all up, let's go ahead and look at Todd Howard's statement real quick. Todd Howard on joining Xbox. I have been incredibly blessed to have spent my entire career at and helped build one of the best places to make games in the world at Bethesda. And I've had the joy of doing it with some of the most talented, humble, and passionate people there are. They are part of my family and my good friends. I have also had the pleasure of working with and partnering with many of the best gaming and tech companies in the world. But our longest and closest partner during my career has been Microsoft. Today we join them, and I want to share some personal thoughts on what it means in our shared vision. The trajectory of Xbox and the trajectory of Bethesda in many ways have gone hand in hand. From our beginnings, we have primarily been a PC developer. In 1999, 2 things happened. 1, Bethesda became part of a brand new startup, ZeniMax Media. Really, they've been a part of ZeniMax Media for that long? I thought that was a more recent acquisition, like in 2008 or something, but okay. And Microsoft started development of their first video game console, the Xbox. I can remember my first trip to Redmond to discuss the new system and bringing our next game, Morrowind, to the Xbox. I was dubious Xbox Morrowind would be worth the time. Somewhat on a technical level, but more so from taking a hardcore RPG and moving it from a PC desktop experience to a controller and sofa experience. If we made it work, would people want it? We all know how that went. Microsoft and their new Xbox crew had a view that I came to share completely. Shouldn't we allow anyone to have this experience? Why does it matter where the screen is, or what the controller is? There are many people without the same access, and we can bring it to them. Morrowind would go on to become one of the best-selling Xbox games of all time behind Halo, another PC-style game some said wouldn't work. Its success paved the way for the growth of our company and proved the point people wanted this experience, regardless of device. Microsoft quickly let us in on their next system, the Xbox 360. More than a PC port, our aim with our next game, Oblivion, was to usher in the next generation of gaming. With each game, from Fallout 3 to Skyrim, our studio and company grew, adding brilliant and like-minded studios across the globe. All of us share in the belief that expanding the reach of gaming was fundamental, whether it was PC, console, your phone, or the cloud. With each new console cycle, we evolved together. From bringing mods to consoles with Fallout 4, now over 1 billion downloads, to the latest technologies fueling Xbox Series X and S. These new systems are optimized for the vast worlds we love to create, with generational leaps in not just in graphics, but CPU and data streaming as well. It's led us to our largest engine overall since Oblivion. Really? Are they finally dropping the Create engine? I don't know, because I heard that Elder Scrolls 6 was still running on the Create engine. Maybe that's changed since then. I don't know. It's led to our largest engine overhaul since Oblivion, with all new technologies powering our first new IP in years, Starfield. Our first new IP in 25 years, Starfield, as well as Elder Scrolls 6. So wait, Elder Scrolls 6 is not running on the Creation Engine? I thought it was. Maybe it really has changed since then. Or maybe it's like the Call of Duty engine, where like technically speaking, all the Call of Duty games have run on the same engine since like 2003, technically, but it's been refined so much that it's barely even the same engine anymore. Especially with Modern Warfare 2019, where they added a lot of new code. Maybe it's like that. So technically speaking, it's still the Creation Engine, but it's like massively improved. Maybe it's one of those kind of things. Anyways, moving on to the rest of the article. Like our original partnership, this one is about more than one system or one screen. We share a deep belief in the fundamental power of games and their ability to connect, empower, and bring joy. And a belief that we should bring that to everyone, regardless of who you are, where you live, or what you play on. Regardless of the screen size, the controller, or your ability to even use one. We can't think of a better group of people to do that than those on Xbox. We have friendships that go back to those original days. From Phil and his senior leaders to developer support, they just don't talk about putting players first. They don't just talk about putting players first, they passionately live it. At Bethesda, we've been lucky enough to create games we love and have an audience who loves them as much as we do, with the exception of Fallout 76. Everyone loves Skyrim, and they love most of your other games, but Fallout 76, that's the big blip. That's the big nick on your radar right there. I'm not counting Doom and stuff, because Doom is not made by Bethesda. It's made by id, and Wolfenstein's made by Machine Games and whatnot. I'm just talking about Bethesda IPs, like specifically Bethesda, like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. But you get the point. Let's see. I have personally been humbled by the many industry honors I have received, as they belong to the entire studio. But one has always stood out to me for a special reason. When I received the Lifetime Achievement Award at GDC, I joked in my acceptance, I wonder how many achievement points this one is worth. At the end of the ceremony, some good friends from Microsoft congratulated me and said they'd find out. And a few months later, I was given a code to a game that they had created, named after me, and locked to my account. When I ran it, it unlocked a single achievement, Lifetime, 1,000 points. It still sits in my list when I check, and I smile every time. It has been a lifetime, but there's more to come and achievements to unlock together. We hope you join us. All the best, Todd. So, again, kind of the statement you would expect, but I'm actually really surprised at that last part. Microsoft made a little game just for him, just so they could give him an achievement. They gave him 1,000 points. It's kind of funny, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of the whole thing right now, because of course this just happened, so the immediate after effect of this is still not going to be super apparent for a while, because again, any deals that are currently in place or any games that were already in development are still going to be on those platforms. That's not changing. So I'm going to say for at least a year, nothing is really going to change. Everything is still going to be as it would have always been. But once we start hitting late 2021 and as well as 2022, that's when I expect the Microsoft integration to be a lot more obvious, when we start getting games that are exclusive to Xbox and PC, as well as getting all the games on Game Pass and whatnot. And also, just as a fun little side note, this means that if we ever got Doom Guy in Smash, he would technically be a Microsoft rep now. As weird as that might sound still to people, but at the same time, it's also like, hey, look, we got Master Chief and Doom Guy under the same house now, so, that could be a thing. Maybe we can get some kind of cross-promotion going on there. Get something from Doom and Halo, or get something from Halo and Doom. I don't know, that'd be kind of neat. Get those two franchises, because people already kind of treat them as buddy anyway, but now they're officially pals, right? They're officially best of friends. It's kind of neat when you think about it like that. But yeah, so yeah, if we ever get Doom Guy or any other, hey, you wanna know what this means now? The Vault Boy costume that's in Smash, that costume is now Microsoft. It's now from a Microsoft game, technically. But, then again, you know, yeah, so just kind of a neat little thing I thought of right there. But anyways, so yeah, Microsoft has acquired Bethesda, and while the immediate after effects of this may not be super apparent, in the long run, throughout this generation, this upcoming generation, it's going to be huge. That's for sure. And I definitely am looking forward to seeing what's going to be happening. Specifically, what's going to change at Bethesda? Because obviously Bethesda, as I said earlier, has been getting a lot of flack in recent years, mainly for Fallout 76, but also for some other things as well, like Elder Scrolls Blades, re-releasing Skyrim over and over and over again. But it's mainly Fallout 76 that killed their reputation, because before that, they used to actually be a very respected developer, one of the most respected in the industry, actually. But then Fallout 76 happened, and they went from being, like, on the top to being, like, debatably lower than Activision or EA. Like, and people, like, yeah, and people went from loving Todd Howard to hating Todd Howard. But you want to know the thing about Todd Howard that I find interesting? Is I really feel like it's hard to hate Todd Howard. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't, I don't get the impression, he doesn't feel like someone to me that you really hate. Just because of the, I don't know. Maybe because he's just really memeable. I don't know. I mean, I don't really play many Bethesda games anyway, but I don't know. But Todd Howard's now a Microsoft employee, so at least for right now. I mean, for all we know, Todd Howard will leave because of some kind of disagreement. But yeah, I'm curious to see if Microsoft is gonna step in and, you know, try and make Fallout better. Obviously, that won't really affect Fallout 76. That ship has kind of sailed. But, you know, the next Fallout game, the next real entry, Fallout 5, Microsoft might step in and make some, you know, kind of make some overhauls there. But we'll see. Either way, this is huge for Microsoft. This is huge for Bethesda, and it's huge for the gaming industry as a whole. And while the effects of it may not be apparent for a while, it's definitely going to be something that's going to be very interesting to see throughout this upcoming generation of gaming. With that being said, what do you guys think of this acquisition? Do you think it's a good move by Microsoft? Is this sold you on getting an Xbox this generation? Or if you're already on PC, or do you not really care because, hey, it's going to be on PC anyway? You know, just let me know your thoughts in general about anything regarding this acquisition or Microsoft and Bethesda in general. With that being said, this is Logan589XP, and I will see you guys next time.